Hey, does your I'll say that again actually, does your teenager engage in sexting? According to recent studies, as many as one in 5 teenagers has electronically sent a nude or semi-nude image or video of themselves via text message or email. And as well as jeopardising their own safety, they could be breaking the law. So to tell us more, I'm joined by sexual ethics writer Nina Funnell and body image expert Dannielle Miller. Nina, sexting, now it's a pretty intense subject actually, because it is dangerous. Is it simply about children expressing their curiosity about their bodies? What do you feel is the motivation behind this?
Look, there are a range of drivers for the behaviour. I mean, what we're seeing in the younger ones, so 12, 13 years old, you might see a group of girls at a sleepover party, they'll set up a webcam, there's a group of boys at another sleepover party, and they'll play a game of truth or dare, and at some point somebody will say, we dare you to flash this or to flash your bums or whatever it might be. And for them, you know, that's not even necessarily sexual. That's the kind of the equivalent of the boys flashing their bums outside, you know, the back of the school bus. But as they get older, then they might engage in more of the sort of sexual side of sexting, and it's really when images are taken without consent or distributed without consent to third parties that we're starting to see some really nasty outcomes to this.
Well, yes. I mean, is this going to be some way going to be jeopardising their future employment? Should they get criminally charged for such an experience? Like, what are we looking at as far as the messages out there? Are they as innocent as they seem?
Yeah, look, and I think the issue that Nina just raised is a really important one, in that we all, back in the days of sleepovers, may have done silly things and flashed and played truth and dare, but we didn't have the technology to record that permanently.
Exactly.
And that's the difference today. It's not that we were necessarily wiser or that this generation are more risky. They just have technology that makes everything instant and makes it incredibly easy to distribute that. And it is problematic because once you've sent those images, you don't know necessarily where they're going to end up, and you don't have any control any longer over the ownership of that. And that's where we really do need to give young people skills to make better choices and safe choices.
Well, indeed. I mean, it raises the subject of pedophiles and people who may be downloading those images without consent. Do you think that when teenagers send out pictures of themselves in this way as well? I mean, I had heard some rumours about young kids being also branded as pedophiles, but as young teenagers. Can you give me a bit of data about that?
Yeah, okay, so one of the biggest risks around this stuff is actually that they could be charged with child pornography offences.
That's right, yeah.
In Australia, the age of consent in most states to have sex is 16, but the age of consent to film or photograph sexualised content is 18. So you've got all these 17-year-olds who can legally have sex, but if they were to take a photograph and send it to their boyfriend or girlfriend, they can actually be charged with production and distribution of child pornography, and the person that they send it to, even if they don't send it further, can actually be charged with possession of child pornography.
Wow,
so
that's heavy.
Yeah, so we've actually got teenagers who are now being, you know, sexually curious teenagers who are now being grouped in with convicted pedophiles and gang rapists and put on the sex offender register potentially for the rest of their lives, meaning that they couldn't leave Australia, they can't travel, they can't work with kids. You know, if one day they have kids, they can't coach their kids' little league soccer team or whatever.
And
it's horrendous. It's overkill.
That is seriously heavy.
And the problem is, of course, that the law rather isn't able to keep up with the pace of change in technology.
No, I can understand.
And so we're really having to look at this.
And parents would have to be doubly responsible in order to educate their kids. Like, how would a parent deal with this?
Well, there are a few ways in which parents can deal with this. I mean, the first thing is just to open up the communication lines, talk to kids about these issues, get them to, you know, reflect on the possible outcomes to this stuff. Also, another thing that parents might want to do is check out if their children's school do have a cyber safety policy, and are they doing anything to teach cyber safety, because some schools are doing a really good job of this, other schools are a bit behind the 8 ball. So,
and the other key too, I think, is as parents to be informed. We can't bury our heads in the sand.
Right.
So often parents don't even understand the technology that their children are spending an inordinate amount of time on.
I understand that.
And we do need to keep up to date so that we can guide them. If we don't know, how can we guide them? And we do know too that if we don't keep the lines of communication open, this will become secretive.
Okay.
So most kids say that they don't want to tell their parents what's happening because they fear the technology will be taken away from them. We can't lock our kids in the castle.
Well, so it should be the parents who will just get in there and handle this. I think that would be the main thing. Take responsibility.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you, Dannielle.
Thank you.
Here's an idea for you.